Ladies and gentlemen, we're back like we never left on the fastest podcast on the airwaves today, The Cat's Corner, with your host, the three-time world karate champion, Ernest the Cat Miller, your co-host, Ray Big Shug Keziah, the manager of future Hall of Famers, trying to get over, but never seem to can get over. And we are joined today by the illustrious, the one and the only WWE Hall of Famer, Teddy Long. How you doing, Mr. Long?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. And first thing I want to say, man, is congratulations to to you guys on the podcast. I kind of checked everything out, looked at your reviews, and look how people are talking. And you guys are certainly doing an outstanding job with this thing, man. And especially with Ernest, you know, he's a guy, man. He's Mr. Excitement,
Hey,
you know.
hey,
And so,
hey.
Ernest make things happen, man. And so I got to say, man, you guys are doing a hell of a job. And thanks so much for having me on.
We appreciate having you.
Well, Miss Teddy Long, listen, I'm telling you, man, soon as I heard I could get you on here, I knocked everybody off the schedule. I said, I got Teddy Long. I had to call my white boy. I had said, white boy, we need you in the morning. I need a co-host because Teddy need a white boy to be a whipping stick. So we got him in there, Mr. Long. But Mr. Long, listen, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a part of this, man. And you know, there's so much I know about you, and almost like I studied you, you know, because before I got in the business, I knew nothing about the business. You were one of the ones that approached me, and you gave me some information, man, that helped carry me through my whole career of wrestling. And I'd like to thank you for that.
Yeah, man. Well, you're very welcome because you see, I understood what this was all about long time ago, way before anybody thought I understood it. So when I was able to come to you and other, you know, guys and give them some information that would help them, you know, because I'm telling you, this will happen to you because I've already been there, done that, but I survived it. So you have to know how to survive it. But I learned how to play this game. It was like on the job training. But and you don't let nobody know. You just keep your ears open and keep your mouth shut. So you know, and that's how you play it. So anyway, you know, things have gotten a little bit better now. You know, through time, I guess I would say. I don't know, but like I said, man, if I could tell you something that to help you and keep you there and help you survive, then that's what I was gonna do.
Hey, Teddy, let me ask you this, man. You manage a lot of teams too, right? Tell me,
Yeah.
who was your favorite? Give me a couple of your favorite, your top
Well,
three.
well, Butch Reed and Ron Simmons were my number one team.
Man,
I had such a great time managing those two guys, man. And also, I had these skyscrapers, Sid Vicious, Danny Spivey, and let's see. Oh, and there were another team I had, God rest his soul. There was Ice Train and Scott Norton. They were Fire and Ice.
oh
And
yeah.
but Ron and Butch, I would have to say were the top, man, because they just had we just had so much fun on the road. And at that time, you know, the JYD was alive, God rest his soul, and so I was riding with Dog with the whole crew. So so believe me, man, I learned so much, and I had the time of my life.
You didn't have to
So
worry about much when you were with those two, did you?
No, no. And let me tell you, I'll give you a good little story about JYD and Butch Reed. Back in the day, I was a driver. That's what I did. I drove, you know, and everybody trusted me after a while. They said, man, ride with Teddy Long, you know, and they would go to sleep and stuff and be comfortable. So one time I took my wife on the road with me, God rest her soul, and so I got a little sleepy and I let her drove. Well, JYD and Butch were in the back. They never went to sleep. They sat up until my wife she gave me a little bit of rest, maybe 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, but they never went to sleep or nothing until when I took back over the wheel and started back to drive, and then him and Butch both, they went to sleep.
hey man, listen, I heard some great stories about Butch Reed. I never met Butch Reed, but Arn Anderson swear and say, hey Cat, you remind me of Butch Reed in the locker room. What was he like in the locker room?
Oh man, Butch was just a fun guy, you know. Like you say, like you. He didn't take no shit on nobody, you know. And but he was funny and stuff too, man. But he was a hell of a nice guy. You could learn a lot from it. But Butch was just Butch. Excuse me.
So with Butch being, listen, man, I heard some good stories about him, and some people say he was like a shooter, and I was like,
well, Bush didn't play now. I saw him shoot on Flair one night, and who else? I saw him shoot on Buddy Landale. A lot of guys I saw him shoot on. Now he wasn't nothing to play with in the ring.
No,
The
sir.
other thing, yeah, the other thing about Bush, you know, too, he was just he was real. He was a character, man. And back then, we didn't have, you know, wasn't no cell phones, I think, when we first started out. So Butch and his wife, Ada, I think she's passed now too. But they was always arguing about something. Something was always happening. And me and Ron, we had to stop about 15 times to let Butch go to the payphone so he could call and keep talking to Ada. And they'd be arguing back and forth, back and forth. Butch come back to the car. God damn it. Oh man, it was great.
hey, but you know what? It's hard being on that road. And I wasn't, when I was on the road most of the time, I was not married, but I was engaged. But it's hard being on the road, man, maintaining a relationship back at home. You know, how
Well,
did you do it?
well, God bless me, I had the right woman, I guess. I didn't have no problems with her. And then I think maybe what it might have been, she was young. You know what I mean? And so I had the opportunity to raise her. So
well, take it easy now, Teddy. Take it easy now. That's some old, they call that P. Diddy. That's some old P. Dad. Come on now.
Now, she wasn't that young.
Oh, okay. All right. But
No,
you know,
when
people.
when I met my wife, she was 28 years old.
Yeah.
And we got together. But like I said, God just blessed me with the right woman, man. So I didn't have no problems, you know, because I mean, you know when you have problems because women change. So you can see the signs, you know. So like I said, I had no problem. God took care of me there. So that's why I didn't give her no problem. Because I said, well, okay, man, if maybe this is the right one for me, I need to cut all this other shit out. You know, I done had my fun. I've survived. I've had my fun. I did everything. I put A to Z in my body, and I'm still alive. So God has something for me to do. So let me quit acting a fool so I can finish whatever He needs me to do.
Hey, Teddy, let me ask you this right here. I got so many questions, but let me ask you this right here. With all the different federations that you worked in, which was your best two? Which one do you think really?
You know what? I really started in NWA and WCW. Those were really the only two. Then I went from WCW to WWF. But I really would, if I chose one, it would be the NWA. And the reason
Crockett Promotions.
Yes, sir. Right. And the reason I say the NWA is because that's where I learned. That's where I got educated. That's where I went through the grind, man. You know, I worked on WTBS TV on Saturday mornings. I did 16 matches. There was only one referee, and that was me. So I did all that. Plus, I put up the ring, took the ring down. So if I want to credit anything, it's NWA.
So, Ted, how did you get started in wrestling? What made you say, "Hey, I want to go into this world of pro wrestling"?
Well, here's how that happened. When I was young, I was a disc jockey on a radio station. Well, in Birmingham, Alabama, I had the chance to meet James Brown. Okay, so I started talking to James, and me and him got to talking and everything. And I remember one time I got in the car with his limo, and I rode to a nightclub with him where he was performing that night. And I rode with him and come back. But make a long story short, every time James come to town, he would always let me go to wherever the event and go with him. Now, they sent me to a radio station in Jackson, Mississippi called WOKJ. And I went down there to work. And James came came to Jackson, Mississippi to perform. And that's why I saw him again. And it had been a while since I talked to him. And we and him started talking. So he had a radio station in Augusta, Georgia. He wanted to try to get me to come to work on because
I
he owned
remember.
about 4 or 5 radio stations. Well, I didn't. I told him, I said, I just can't walk out on WOKJ. Like I said, back then you didn't do that. You just kind of stayed to James. He didn't care. He just, you going to work for me? Come on. But you can't do that. But anyway, to make a long story short, James, and when I met him down there in Mississippi, and he told me that he was having a TV show in Atlanta. It was called Future Shock. It was a dance show like Soul Train. Well, when he got that show, and I'll tell you this, and I'll put this in the book. I had just come off of heroin. I was a heroin addict, man. And I had just come off of heroin. I had just got out of jail, and I just cleaned myself up, and I was clean. And so I happened to look up and I see that advertisement about James. So now I need a job. So that's when I go straight down to PBS Studios, and I go, and when I found out where James was taping, and he saw me and I talked to him, and he gave me a job on that TV show. And what they were doing there at PBS, they was also taping Georgia Championship Wrestling. So some nights when James and I would get through, then we would see the guys come in putting up the ring for the wrestling. Well, on Saturday mornings, I got nothing else to do. I started going down to TBS just watching the wrestling because I could get in because the security knew me by me working for James Brown. It didn't cost me nothing. So I would go in, start watching the wrestling, and so happened to run into Abdullah the Butcher one Saturday morning. Well, Abdullah had just come to town, and he was looking for somebody to show him around. He liked to go to the nightclubs and stuff. So I started doing that with Abdullah. On Saturday mornings, Abdullah would come and get me, and I would go to the TV station with him and stay there, and I would get behind the scenes. By me being with Abdullah, the guys would let me in the back. So I started emptying garbage cans. I made myself busy because I'm like, everybody's looking at me. So I started emptying garbage cans. I would see if anybody wanted any food because they had a cafeteria downstairs. So I would run downstairs, get food or whatever I had to do. And then I started going to the ring, getting the guys' jackets. And so they really liked that because a lot of times the guys would leave that gear out on the ring side and the fans would get it and they never would get their stuff back. So I just started getting jackets and stuff, and that was another little job I had. And so I stayed hanging around, and so when something come open where they needed somebody to put up the ring, take the ring down. So by me being around, hanging around, the promoter, Louise Manning, she come to me and asked me about that job, and they gave me the job of putting up the ring, taking the ring down. That was the first job I had. Now, make it short, the way I got into refereeing is one night I put the ring up in Cobb Civic Center in Marietta, Georgia, and the referee didn't show. So the promoter come to me, she said, Terry Long, you're going to have to referee tonight. There's no referee. I said, I don't know anything about it, Louise. I can't referee. She said, no, don't worry about it. Get on in there. She said, the guys will talk to you. They'll take care of you. So they sent and got me a shirt. So I put the shirt on. So the first match I had was Ron Bass and Black Bart. It was a Texas death match. Now, I ain't smart to the business. I ain't got a clue. They start bleeding all over the place, man. So they scared me. Now I'm ready to get away from them. So I ended up, they had a gimmick they were using. I couldn't see what it was, but to me, I thought it was something they were killing each other with. So I jumped out of the ring. The ring announcer, I could hear him telling me, screaming, get back in the ring, get back in the ring. So I finally get back in the ring and I'm like, oh my God, I done screwed everything up right here. I know they're going to get rid of me. So brother, what happened is God was looking out for me. When they got ready for the two guys to go home on the finish, Charlie McGowan, God rest his soul, he rang the bell too quick and screwed the finish up. They got so mad with him till they forgot about me. So that's how I started refereeing.
Man, listen. So how did you get into WCW? Were you just there when they made the turnabout?
Well, when WCW bought NWA, I was there.
Yeah, you was already there then. Okay, who were running it when you was there? When you first went?
When I first went there, I think Ole was in charge.
What kind of person was Ole?
Pretty mean guy.
Was he?
Especially for his race. Ole reminded me a lot. I mean, I didn't have no problem with Ole because Ole wasn't a guy that would laugh in your face. And say something behind your back. Ole would let you know right up front how he felt about you. He didn't care about saying the nigger word, that didn't bother him.
For
So,
real?
but he was just straight up, so that's how I respected him because he let you know. He didn't try to hide like some people hide on you and don't want you to know who they really are. But Ole was straight up. He didn't care about it. And so I didn't really have no problem out of him. He said the nigger word to me a couple of times, but, they told me, hey, that's Ole. So,
Wow.
right.
Well, when I heard that word, I didn't know what to do. When I heard it from a WCW guy, I thought about for a split second, I said, maybe I should kick his damn head off his neck. But then I said, no, if I do that, then I'll lose my job and I'll lose my livelihood. So I just said, I'm going to take that one this time. But it was known for people in pro wrestling to throw that around back in the day. It was easy for them to do. And that's why I'm saying some of the mistreatment that you think you probably was involved with based on your color or your talent, which one would you say was the most?
It was based on my color because they didn't find out about my talent until I went to WWE.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yes.
Right. So, like I said, I managed back then in the NWA when I had Butch and Ron, Johnny B. Bad, and different people. So they knew I could talk then, you know what I mean? But they just didn't know. And to be honest with you, I didn't know myself. Thank God for Vince. It was like God sent him to me, and he's the one brought it out of me. I didn't even know I had it.
So Vince was totally different from, let's say, Anderson. He was totally different from him, right?
Yeah.
Ole.
Oh, yeah. See, let me tell you something, and this is what I believe with Vince. Vince, if he can use you, he's going to use you. He don't care about what that color is at that time because there's money right there. His color is green. And if you can help make him some green, then he ain't got no problem with you. And the other thing with Vince, and Randy Savage told me this, he said, God rest his soul, he said, hey, he said, you don't have to worry. If you do your job and if Vince likes you, he said, you're really in. And that's what happened with me. I did my job and Vince liked me. You know what that man told me the first night I walked out with D'Lo? I walked out with D'Lo Brown. I cut this promo on Tommy Dreamer. I walked back in the gorilla position. Vince looked at me and called me over there. He said, I can't believe I've had you right here under my nose all this time. Because I went in there as a referee. That were people that knew what I could do, but they didn't tell it. They didn't want to tell it. And so then the next time I come out, I walked out. He saw me one day. I did a promo on him. He said, they really wasted you down south.
True.
He didn't have to tell me. He didn't have to tell me that.
And at one time they said Vince was one of those guys. He didn't like to, but he kind of looked down on the Southern wrestlers, with the Southern draws and different things like that. They say he kind of looked down on those guys.
Yeah, but see, that's all part of it. He had to come around too, right?
Yeah. I didn't say he held them back, but he would say certain things.
Right. Like I said, I know you didn't say that, but I'm just saying Vince has to adapt to certain things. Because one time, I'll tell you that, and since you said that, I was getting ready to cut this promo one night, and I talked to him. I said, hey, I'm going to be talking to Stephanie. I said, is it okay if I say baby girl? He looks at me and said, what's baby girl? I said, it's a slang. I said, that's what we say, baby girl. Oh, all right. So I had to
what's a baby girl?
Stuff. Yeah. And that's one reason that he liked me too, because he knew he could trust me. I wasn't gonna go out on live TV and say what I want to say. I'm gonna say just what's written and whatever that comes to my mind that I can say to help my promo.
See, that was good that you said that, because I was on a flight with on Vince McMahon plane. We were going from, I think, Oklahoma back to New York, and I got to sit with these guys on this plane, and he talked about that. He was like, it's a lot of guys in the business they can't go off script. You got to keep every word on the script in their mouths, because if you let them go, and he called out Rick Steiner, he said, he's crazy. We can't let him just go off. Then he looked at me. He said, "Cap, all we got to do is give you something in the ballpark and let you go. You know how to do that. You know how to do that. But it was hard for me to stay to to what the word for word that Vince used to be in my ear, Teddy. Vince used to be in my ear when I was out on camera and I'm talking to people. As soon as I get on the road, Vince will start yelling out stuff in my ear. Hey, say this, say that, bro.
That's nerve wracking. Now
For 2 years.
I never did have that problem with him, but boy, that's with him in your ear. That's pretty rough, brother.
But I got by with it. We had a good time with it. That's when I was on Velocity.
He's always testing you too. You know what he did to me one time? I had this long promo and I had remembered all of it, ready to go. He stopped me and told me, "I don't want you to say that. Here's what I want you to say." Now I got to learn something all over again. And I'm about 1 minute away from walking out.
Listen, now I think Vince McMahon was really, really, responsible for wrestling being successful today.
He invented it.
Yeah, yes. And
he created this.
He created and he pushed it forward. He did a lot of twists and turns. I think every move this guy made the business better. Even when we go back to WCW days, when we were kicking their tails, 83 weeks, we was beating them in the rating. Then Nathan, Vince came up with that. Oh my goodness, some of the stuff he was putting on TV. I was like, I couldn't believe it. But what he put on didn't look like I thought it was gonna look. And they said, hey, a lady coming out with paint on her body, she's not gonna have any clothes on, just paint. I was like, man, that's tacky. How can you do that? But Vince found a way to make it entertaining. Not to where you close your eyes and say, oh, I don't want to see. It was more like funny. It was entertaining. He's responsible for this business, man.
Yeah, he invented it, man. I'm telling you, man, that man is a genius. They can say what they want.
So what do you think do you think he's completely gone now? You think he's going to turn up somewhere? I think he's going to turn up somewhere else, Teddy. Matter of fact, I think you and him may turn up together somewhere.
Well, that would be a shocker.
No. Hey,
you know what? But I'll be honest with you, man. If I had to stand beside him, I'd stand beside him. You know what I mean? Like I said, whatever he's done, he ain't proven guilty of that yet. So I don't know nothing about that. But I'm just saying, if I had to stand beside him, I'd stand beside him.
And Teddy, I've seen you work your way through the business. I saw you work under Eric Bischoff. I saw you work with Flair, under Flair. You wanted to work with Harlem Heat. I saw you work with kind of like a long line of different people, and it all came out the same. It was good. Everybody enjoyed working with you. How did you do that being from the South? I know being from the South and how the racism is and how people hold you back just because your skin color. How did you realize or find the way to work with so many different people and different types?
Because I've been around races all my life. Okay, I come from Birmingham, Alabama. That's where I was born and raised at. I was right there in Birmingham, Alabama when they bombed the 16th Street Baptist Church and killed those little girls. I was a block away from that. I heard the bomb go off. Also, I was there when they had another big riot or something. They bombed this black motel. It was called the A.G. Gaston Motel. And they thought that Dr. King was in there, one of the rooms, and they bombed that hotel. So I was all in that civil rights stuff there, marching, walking through stuff, people throwing bricks. It was unreal, man. So when I got in wrestling, all I did, I saw what was happening. Like I said, you just keep your mouth shut and keep your ears open and learn how to play the game. One guy walked up to me one time and he said to me back when I was really, up there with Vince managing, running SmackDown, he says to me, you got the carte blanche. So he's waiting on me now to tell him what the carte blanche is. I know exactly what the carte blanche is, but I looked at him and I said, what's that? And then he said, "Oh, well, don't worry about it." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, thank you," and kept right on walking. I know what the carte blanche means, that you can't bother me. That's what that means.
When you got
Oh.
carte blanche, that means you are the top of the top, and you can't.
He
You
told
in
me
the inner
that to
circle.
my face. I'll tell you who told me. I ain't got to lie. But John Laurinaitis. He hated to tell me that.
He said, you got carte blanche.
Hey, did he for real?
He's the one who told me that.
Man, listen, I'm gonna tell you this right here. My experiences with what was his name? John Ace.
John Laurinaitis.
It was John Ace. My experience with him in WCW was he was so humble and so nice. Because remember, Eric gave him a job. So when he came in, for some reason, they wouldn't listen to him. People like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall,
They knew.
they knew. I was like, I'm new to the game. So I just wanted to kind of fulfill my obligation and do my work. That's what I was there for. So when John H would come to me and say, "Hey, Cat, this is what we're going to do in your match," I listen to him and go. But then I would see the interactions with some of the other guys. Man, it's like they wouldn't listen to him. I saw Kevin Nash say, "Get out of here. I'm not listening to you. Get out of here. I'm not going to do that finish." I saw really, I hate to use that expression, punk him out. They treated him like a nobody, and I couldn't understand. But then when I went to New York, he was the one that called me and said, "Hey, we want you to come up to New York." After they sold the company, he was totally different. He had courage, and I mean, he know he was in control. I don't know if that was him and Vince were doing their thing, but he knew he was in control up there. And
He had power.
He had who?
He had power.
Yes. And it showed. It showed the way he carried himself. I mean, he looked at Eric Bischoff and said something about Eric, and I couldn't believe he said, because I thought Eric gave him a job in WCW.
And then the roles got reversed.
That's how low down he was, man.
Man, but then to hear the relationship that not that he had with just the wrestler, but then you start looking at some of the relationship he had when it came to his personal life, like with his wife, that one kind of sour. Then he had a relationship with it. He didn't get along with his brother, did he?
No. He fired his brother.
Wait a minute.
He fired Animal?
Yeah, he did.
Your camera went up. Bring your camera down just a little bit, Teddy.
He fired his brother.
Yeah.
He's looking good now. That's crazy.
Listen.
So he fired Animal.
Yeah.
Wow. That's hard to do. One half of one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
But see, he ain't looking at that. That's greatest of all time. He ain't spreading that shit because he know that all that's a work.
True. Well, let me ask you a question. Speaking of racism and stuff, I mean, just doing some deep dive reading and stuff. Did you and Rick have a falling out back in the day? Rick being Ric Flair, did he treat you in a racist way at one time?
No, hold on. Teddy, let me answer that. Of course not. Ric Flair and Teddy were best friends. I'll answer that for you. He treated Teddy like Teddy was his brother. I'm sorry, Teddy. Go ahead and give us your bit.
Hey, man. I've talked about this before, so I'm gonna make this real simple. I want to let this rest. Let this go. Everybody knows that I had the problem that I had with Flair, so we're just gonna just let it go.
I really don't know, Teddy. Me and you never talked about that, but I really don't know.
Well, we'll talk about it off the air.
Okay. Let's talk about it now, Rick. I want to hear, Teddy. I want to hear.
It was one time, I was in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I don't know what happened. Anyway, he walks up to me and he says the N-word to me. "You like working here?" And I'm like, what did I do? And then he tried to blame some stuff. Some girls were at the back door at the back gate, a door, something trying to get in. And he said that they said that I told them that they could come to the back door and they could get in. But he used the N-word with me there too.
Yeah, that's what you had said before. And I was just like, man, that's just wow. I just, for some reason, makes me want to scratch my head.
Yeah, but then what about the incident he had at the pizza place a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah, I seen something about that, man. Like I said, man, it ain't even worth the air of talking about him.
Right.
My
I'm
thing
with you.
is this: I keep telling people that there are some people in this business do not know when to take the cape off. It's just that simple.
And Rick might be one of those guys you saying, but let me tell you this right here.
Living the gimmick.
But listen, he living it real hard, man, because just think about this. Just a few years ago, I got a call and said, "Hey, man, you know Rick? Yeah, I know Rick." He said, "Maybe you need to get in touch with him or his wife." So why? Because they said he's in bad shape. His body is shedding down. He's not gonna live. And I called his wife at that time. He was married to
Wendy.
Wendy, yeah, and Wendy said, yeah, he was in bad shape, and it didn't look good. But then let's just skip over the rest of it. The next thing you see Rick on the mend. You see him walking around. You see him at the shows. He's back to Ric Flair. But sooner or later, let me ask you this, Teddy. Sooner or later, maybe I'm wrong. Sooner or later, he got to show some kind of respect to something, right? He got an opportunity to continue to live this life, and he's living it almost better than what he was, famous than what he was before he went in the hospital.
Well, he's just God is blessing him. That's all I can tell you. He's a blessed man. But I'm gonna tell you this: there's a thing they say. Sometimes your luck runs out.
Well, you'd think if
Oh,
somebody getting blessed like that, they would want to give some credit to the good Lord for being blessed. And you
But they
never hear
don't.
him say it.
But they don't see it. They don't see it. They don't think it's God. They think it's them.
yeah.
Sad.
He say,
they
hey,
don't. They don't think God got nothing to do with it. They think it's all them. You can't kill me.
Rick said he'd have died on the table. Rick said he died in the ring the last time he had his last match. He said he's looking forward to dying again.
Yeah.
Wow.
But now let me ask you this story. I don't know if you was around with this story, and it was Ric Flair and somebody went on a long vacation and they partied the whole weekend. I mean, they did everything. They did what? Weed, cocaine, everything. It's when Rick was in charge. And this guy said he'd get back. As soon as he get into the office the next day, Rick looked at him and said, hey, oh, by the way, go take a drug test.
Scorpio.
Yeah. So that's true. He told me this story. I said he did not. He said, bro, we had did everything together. He said we did everything together that weekend. So he knew what was in my body just like I knew what was in his body. He said, but soon he got on the elevator, looked at him. He said, oh, by the way, you got to take a drug test. And of course, he took the drug test and failed the drug test. And then you know what happened? The Scorpio? He got
No.
fired. They fired him. They got rid of him for failing the drug test.
Yeah, well, that's where they planned it.
So you heard that story too then, right?
I talked to Scorpio. I was right there when all that was going on. I was working
God.
there.
Was that when Flair had the book at WCW when he was the booker?
Yes. That's the only reason he got fired. I think Flair went to Jim Hurd.
And
Wow.
told him to drug test. But this business, man, wrestling is such a, you know what? I've worked I'd have tried the pro football. I'd have worked in the mixed martial art combat fighting. I'd have ran karate schools. I've been a newspaper boy growing up. But the business of pro wrestling is something totally different, man. If you go through this, you can go through any business out there and be successful. This business.
This is mafia, man.
Blood in, blood out.
That's right.
And even to today, you still got these same little cliques. You got the same stuff going on, and the new guys don't see it. But when I walk through the hall, go ahead, Teddy.
Yeah, well, that's what's got to happen now. You see, as long as you still got these same guys that's been doing this for 30 years, they ain't gonna change. They're gonna still stay with the clique and all this stuff. So this has to go to a younger generation, some people that want to make money and not worry about, well, let me take care of my friends and everybody. You can see the difference in that. I just left WWE TV, and you can see, the little bit of difference there. These guys are fucking packing out. They making money. So, you know what I mean?
That was my question. If you'd seen a difference when TKO had purchased WWE and you were just up there for the draft, and did you see a stark difference from the last time you were there?
Exactly. These guys ain't playing around now. They're getting rid of people that's been working there for 30-some years. They're getting them out. They're bringing in people with young minds. You know what I mean? Well, look at what they did with the production team now. I think Kevin Dunn was running that, been doing that for years. And so he's out, and they brought in their own people.
And that Nick, what's that guy's name that Flair just posted up that had been there forever? That was behind the scenes. Nick somebody had been there for
Nick Khan?
No, not Nick Khan. Maybe it's not Nick, but it's somebody. He's a dark-haired white dude. Looks like he's Italian. He's from New York. He had been there for 20-some years. He's behind the scenes television production, and they just fired him this past week.
Well, you see what I'm saying?
Salvatore or something. Nick Salvatore or whatever his name is. Been there forever. I'm
pretty sure I know him.
Yeah, he's been around forever. He did all the guys that on the seat filling and stuff. When you go there for the seat fill, he would be the guy that you see.
They're not playing around, man.
Is Hayes next? Is Hayes still up there? Michael Hayes?
I didn't see him at DCBs.
I saw him. I saw him at the TV in at WrestleMania, and they were still around him.
If he was gone, they would have put that out there. He's still there.
Okay, so he's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. Still dressing the same way.
Yeah.
Still dressing the same way.
Well, he is. He still wears a fanny pack.
Yeah.
Still wears a fanny pack.
And a big hat. And
yeah.
What kind of person is he, Teddy? Did you ever get along with? Did you ever?
I never had no problem with Michael. He was always, nice to me, man. Me and him would have conversations at times. He's a pretty nice guy, man.
How about my buddy Eric Bischoff? I know y'all love Eric Bischoff.
Well, when I met Eric before he ever got started. When me and Eric used to go to the margarita place and drink margaritas,
Hey, Teddy, don't you start that story. We ain't gonna tell that story this time.
We gonna tell it. Tell it,
Teddy.
No, we just back at that time, I was just drinking. So with me and Eric, we'd always meet there at Cascalado. He liked to drink, and we just have a good time. But when Eric first came in, Bill Watts was in charge, and I don't think Bill Watts cared much for Eric. So they had Eric doing these international things for Canada and something, man. And so I would stay there and help him get through that stuff. That was before he ever got the power. And me and Eric would be there sometimes till 10, 11 o'clock at night trying to get through with those internationals, whatever they were then. And I would always stay there and help Eric. And so me and him was always cool, man. And so then when he did get the power, he looked out for me. But then I think Flair went in and buried me to him. And so then that's when I started having my trouble in WCW.
Is that what ultimately led to you leaving?
Yes.
Because you left it pretty much at the height of, you switched over in like what, 07? When did or 04?
98.
You left in 98. So you left right before the NWO.
I went to Vince in 1998.
Okay, so you left right in the height of the 97 when it was the hottest WCW was going to be, was in 97 to 98.
Right.
So you left at the height of that.
And how did Vince treat you when you made it up there? Of course, nice and
well, yeah, he was always nice to me, man. Like I said, once I went out on that man TV and talked, man, and kept doing what I was doing, I never had no trouble with that man.
Bro, you could go You could go
And one
anywhere.
time he went off script on me. You know, they had wrote something
Oh
for me
yeah,
and him,
yeah.
but he went off script on me. You know, we were live, so he was testing me then, but I kept right up with him.
Oh man, could nobody talk with you, Teddy? You're
Yeah,
the man. You're the
yeah,
man. But the thing is, you so smart. You're so smart and elegant in the way you express yourself. And I mean in the locker room, not just on TV. When you talk to the young guys, you just really, I mean, this was one of the reasons I was able to make it through WCW because it were guys like you, Stevie Ray. I mean, a lot of guys, even Scott Hall. Scott Hall was like that with me.
yeah, yeah.
Well, when you went from WCW to WWE, did you go in as a referee or did you go in as backstage? What
Referee,
did you do?
referee.
So you came in as a ref. I just
Yes,
remember that one match you refereed when Draws got paralyzed. You were in the
yeah.
ring that night, were you not?
Him and D'Lo.
Yeah, him and D'Lo. And that's
Yeah,
funny because you ended up becoming D'Lo's manager after a while, didn't you?
yeah,
Yeah, that's you kind of went full circle on a lot
yeah,
of things. On a lot
yeah.
of things. You've had a great career. A great career.
Oh, God
So
has blessed me and been fat, and I'm still working.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's why we're gonna ask you, what's your next move? What
Well,
else you gonna do?
this weekend I'm in this Friday I'm in St. Louis for the SICW Fan Fest, and it's a Hall of Fame celebration there. They're gonna put Bob Orton Jr. in the Hall of Fame, and I think Randy's gonna be there to induct him.
Awesome.
So let me
That's
ask you
great.
this, Teddy. Are you wanting to get back deep into the wrestling business? Let's
Mm-mm.
say
No.
WWE call you and say we need you to come in and work with these young guys and on the promotion part, how you practically promote themselves. Would you do that?
Well, I'd have to see what they want to do, really
Yeah.
what they want to do. Because I'm telling you, man, you know, I had when I had to go this past weekend to SmackDown and Raw, it was the worst time. The weather was bad, storms. We had to turn around one flight, go back. I mean,
Oh,
I'm up all night one night because we land at 1 o'clock in the morning. Now we got to go to a hotel. It takes us 2 hours to get there. Then you got to go right back to the airport at 5 to get that flight to go. So I don't want no more of this, man. I'd like
I
to work some TVs or something, and if that's what they want, that's about it.
now
Everybody
how
says the same thing. It's the travel's the problem. It ain't the work, it's the travel.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
what's your dealing now with Triple H? How you get along with him? And
Well,
does he look like
I really don't know how I get along with him. You know, he
oh,
always
you
speaks
don't?
to me, and that. But for us, I just don't really know.
You don't? So around you he's pretty cool though, right? He's
Yeah.
respectful and
Well, he speaks
uh,
and do the normal, but he never pulled me off and had no conversation with me, and then so I don't
but
know.
this is what I don't understand about the business. Everybody talk about the business being so hot now, being so good. Me being in the business, it all look the same to me. I mean, don't what's successful? How can you tell it's successful when in 97, 99 we had more people watching? We had the same kind of wrestling pay-per-views. What make wrestling today successful? When I hear people, probably the amount of money that they're making.
That's it.
What you have now, you got this internet. 97,
Yeah,
98, you didn't have that. You got something now that this can be shown all over the entire world.
world, you're right.
And what I don't know how true this is, but I think what WWE's trying to do now is sell a deal that started going overseas, take over that market. They just went to France, did that pay-per-view.
Yep. They're going
So
to
the guy,
Scotland. They're going to Scotland.
the governor of London, I think he's campaigning for them to bring WrestleMania to London, England.
It's going.
So
It's
let
going
me
to
tell
London.
you, if they secure that market and plus your American market, Jesus Christ, there ain't no stopping.
Well, we got to get some of that money, Teddy. You know, our name, they still throw our names around out there in the business.
Well,
You know,
if it's for me and you to get some of it, God will bless us with it. That's all I can say.
Amen to that.
we don't have to go looking for it, you know,
Right.
because when you go looking for money and looking for power, you know,
You gonna find
sometimes you gonna find it, but it ain't gonna be the power you want. It might
Right.
be Vince McMahon and Johnny Ace doing what they do to you.
Might shit on your head.
Well, that's if you let that happen to you.
That
Okay.
you know, that was Stevie Ray told me. Stevie Ray said, "Hey, Cat, I don't care who you are. Vince McMahon know how to treat the people the way they want. He's supposed to treat them."
Yeah.
Something like that. I forgot how he put it, but in other words, he was saying they
Vince
know who to
McMahon
mess
knows
with.
Vince McMahon knows who to shit on and who not to shit on.
Amen.
Exactly.
He knows what he can do
Exactly.
to who he can do it to.
Exactly. Teddy,
Hey,
so
guys, go ahead.
now let me ask you this right here, and then we're gonna kind of start shutting it down for you. Well, what about AEW? What do you think about that crew?
I
Have
don't even watch it, Cat. I don't even
you
look
know?
at it. I started it back when when Pop was working with him. I went back to work with him. And then I watched it because they had the girl Jade Cargill over there. They blew that. They had a big star.
Oh
That
man.
girl got away because it was all just jealousy. Somebody don't want her to take their spot. They forgot about the money. Okay, no. This ain't how it's supposed to work. So that's what I'm saying, man. There's still people in this business with these old minds that started back in the 80s and 90s until they would be removed and you get some people with this generation on their mind, then this business will be what it's supposed to be. And then, like I said, now it's entertainment now anyway, so it's gonna go.
But the thing is that over at AEW, I don't see how they let her go either. But then again, when I see the way the top crew, the management is over there, it's like they all buddy. They smoke together, they skate together, they ride together. So they gonna think together. Those are the people they look to take care of. They don't look at when they got somebody like her. They got
No.
somebody like her on their route. They should, if somebody, if now I'm not saying anything about Tony, but I'm just saying, Tony, if this was his house like it's supposed to be, he will want to be successful and he will make this stuff work with the people he had that can make it successful.
They
He
have
had
they have one guy over there that I could believe that could straighten it out, and that's Jake Roberts. But I don't know whether they'll give him the power.
They
because they
probably
so
won't.
young. They so young over there. They are so young.
You let Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and Jade
Yeah.
Cargill go out the door within a 3-month period between the three of them. How in the world do you let that happen? 3 superstars out the door.
Well, they got Chris Jericho.
Okay.
Well, he can't do it by himself.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But that's who they act like they were leaning on. Listen, you could go to Japan, you could go all over the world and get one of their top guys and bring them in. That's not gonna make your company overtake WWE. You got to have a team. You got to have a team. Vince McMahon put together a team when he was doing something. And I told, hey, now this is what I said, Teddy. I don't care who AEW signed. WWE can release everybody, and AEW can re-sign all of them. They're not going to bring them any closer to WWE unless they get Vince McMahon himself.
That's right.
Unless they get Vince McMahon himself, man, because Vince responsible for it. Teddy, when I was there, they used to say, watch what you say in the locker room. I'm like, why? Say they got, why is it bugged? They got video cameras and stuff, mics in there. He said, no, watch what you say in the locker room. That one guy, that advice guy gave me. Then the other guy gave me, said, don't say anything you wouldn't say to Vince's face, to nobody. I was like, these guys right here, what do they talk? Then this guy broke it down to me. He said, Vince know everything that's going on around there, from the locker room to the time you walk into the door. he know what's going on in his business.
You got stooges.
Yes, he does.
And they all are stooges too. They all are stooges. But those are the ones they get rid of now too, right?
Well, they don't. The stooges don't have sense enough to know this. If you tell on somebody else, you would tell on them, on Vince.
Yeah, yeah. But Vince knew that.
So the Vince already know if you tell on them, you tell on me. So why should I keep you around?
Oh, man.
Sometimes it's a test just to see who you can trust and who you can't trust.
Just that simple.
Hey, well, Teddy, man, listen, I'm so glad you came on, man. And you know, so much I want to talk to you about, but you know, we this is your first time on. And
yeah.
you know, I just can talk to you all day long, man, because you're such a smart and a good guy, man, that I really appreciate you coming on and, you know, making what we're doing better.
Absolutely.
Hey man,
thank you.
It's good though, so I'll just save it for next time. I'll be back on again.
Yeah, we need part 2 of Teddy Long.
Yeah.
Part 2 of your killing spree can start right here on the Cat's Corner.
You know what? Hey, you know what I didn't do, Teddy? I didn't sit down and write down questions because I didn't want to do that. Round 1, I like to just talk to the person like me and you talk like this anyway. We have a conversation like this. Like this all the time. This is what we talk about. So I wasn't trying to pull anything out of you. I wasn't trying to get clicks. What I was trying to get to talk to my friend and see what we feel like. The next time we do it, we can make a list of questions.
Next time you go be Oprah. That's what he's saying. Next time you go be Oprah and I'm gonna be Gail.
All right, man.
All right, Big Ray. Go ahead and shut us down, Big Ray.
We'd like to thank Resite, the one-stop shop for all of your construction needs, and also Lux Jewelry for keeping us all iced out, especially the cat. He ain't got me no ice yet, so I can't really talk about it. But other than that, we'd like to thank Mr. Theodore Long, WWE Hall of Famer and the best damn general manager there ever was. Holla, 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 player.
Hey, hold on, Teddy. Teddy, you're not related to Mr. Long, the bishop over here in Lithonia, are you?
No, I'm not related to him. I think he passed. That was Eddie Long.
Eddie Long, yeah, Eddie Long, man. Y'all talk alike. Yeah, he was a bishop and minister. I used to go to church and listen to him. So,
well, you can assume what you may. I have no idea.
What the Lord?
All right. All right, Teddy.
He will sustain.
Thanks for coming, Teddy.
All right, thank you, Teddy, for having me, man. Thank you so much, man, and much success with the podcast. Thank you again.
Thanks for joining the Cat's Corner.
All right.
Till next time.